Ahoy and welcome. This is Admiral. In connection with a possible East Asian DLC as discussed in a previous video, and with the repeated disclaimer that such is as yet unconfirmed speculation, I wanted to showcase a couple mods that feature a more credible architectural set for the Chinese, Koreans, Vietnamese, and even Mongols if you consider architecture reflecting their settled period and conquests. Whether or not the aforementioned DLC predictions age well, I think you might agree that sooner or later, those civilizations could do with a bit more local inspiration for their buildings, as the default set is not a great match for most of the civilizations it's supposed to cover. The current East Asian set is of course fantastic for the Japanese, who contribute many of their iconic and unique features towards the building set, and as such are an excellent fit. So we'll be looking at two mods that provide more accurate and immersive architecture for these continental civilizations, and with any luck, inspiration for official editions. The first one we'll be looking at is a composite mod drawing from the work of several creators, and with permission, as I understand it, the mod was put together by Z304 with assets made by Abejin, Yako, Narya, and Omar GG. So credit to each of them for their respective contributions. And if you look at the mod details, he gives a general idea of which creator is responsible for which features and assets. Furthermore, some of those assets are modified and repurposed from other games, and admittedly at times there's a bit of a clash with existing assets, so consider this as loose inspiration for what would hopefully be a more stylistically compatible and unique building set if this were to be made officially in AoE 2. Of course, we don't expect modders doing this as a hobby to produce professional level and fully functioning sets for free, but for all its imperfections, this presents an immersive, impressive, and compelling image of appropriate architecture for Chinese and some other nearby civilizations. Of note, the brown-roofed towers, the brown pagodas, and of course the wonders are unchanged from the original game. My favorites from this composite set are the docks and the universities, where the octagonal towers are representative of more appropriately Chinese and Korean styles, and provide welcome variety from the often used square styles and buildings. The main advantage of this mod is that it's just a graphics and not a data mod, meaning it's fully multiplayer and campaign compatible. So if you like, you could use this for a playthrough of the Vietnamese campaign.
The Chinese are surrounding the fortress as I speak. Soon,
Chinese or Korean scenarios, or for multiplayer games. The downsides are that it fully replaces the current East Asian set, even for the Japanese, and that it doesn't have an ultra high definition version or destruction animations. Although I'm not aware of any mods that have gone so far as to have new building destruction animations. Even so, I recommend checking it out if you're interested in playing around with a more credible set for the Chinese, Koreans, Vietnamese, and Mongols. Now, let's look at the next mod, the very ambitious Historical Units and Architectures mod by Omkar, also known as Juggernaut. Once again, this is a composite mod with input from various creators linked in the mod description, and it does a lot more than add today's featured topic of Chinese architecture. But I don't want to dilute my enthusiasm for that topic by mixing it with others, so we'll be returning to look at some of the other changes another time. It also has regional reskins for units, but they're not exactly Gaudio quality, and I'm guessing they're a relic of HD, so they're really not in the same league as the architectural changes which are today's focus. Even so, it's an impressive endeavor, and there are several differences in this version that I really like, such as the towering upper portion of the town center, and the unique monastery. Other advantages of the Omkar mod are that it is available in ultra high definition, and that the building colors seem to have been smoothed out a little more relative to similar buildings in the previous mod, so they seem to fit in better with the existing graphics. It also doesn't replace the existing Japanese style. The main restriction of the Omkar mod is that it is both a graphics and data mod, meaning it's not campaign compatible, and not multiplayer compatible except in lobbies where everyone is using the same mod. Of course, that's not the fault of the mod creator, that's just a limitation of data mods. Now, both of these have been around for a couple years, so this will be old news to the hardcore modding community, but for those like myself for whom creating or using mods is a recently acquired taste, or who were otherwise unaware, I hope you found these building sets interesting as I did. Admittedly, I'm a bit of a noob when it comes to mods, and before this spring, the only ones I was particularly familiar with were the Jurassic Park and the old Age of Chivalry mod. So I think it's appropriate to do a little catch-up for myself and others who aren't as aware of the high-effort projects of our modding communities. If I've missed anything blindingly obvious with regard to Chinese architecture mods, let me know. There are surely others on Age of Kings Heaven or that were created in the more distant past, but for today I'm only featuring the ones I could find on the Steam Workshop for Definitive Edition. Now I know that a full new official architectural set would entail a very significant investment into new assets, including destruction animations, but I really don't think it's too much to ask given that we're coming up on 5 years since the most recent official set, the Central Asian set, was released with the Definitive Edition. And as mentioned before, it's been nearly a full year since any new in-game graphics of any kind were released with the Mountain Royals DLC last Halloween. So call me crazy, but personally I think we're overdue for new assets in general, but especially for a new architecture set. And in the event the speculation we indulged in my other video is correct, a Chinese-based set seems like a prime candidate for the upcoming DLC. Of course, there are other possibilities, and other architectural sets that could use further division and differentiation, notably the rather overstuffed Mediterranean set, which holds the record for bursting at the seams with 8 civilizations. And I'd personally be a fan of a new Inca set, although I don't think that's likely without the addition of one or more new Andean civilizations. Perhaps a more realistic starting point for civilizations not likely to get fully new architecture in the foreseeable future would simply be to provide unique castles for each civilization. A pattern started with Definitive Edition DLCs, but that hasn't been done retroactively for older civilizations. Other possibilities are more fitting regional or even unique monasteries and monks, as briefly discussed in a previous video. But for now, I just want to emphasize and reiterate my particular interest in more appropriate architecture for the mainland East Asian civilizations, and show off these mods that give us some idea of how that might look. But what do you think about these mods? Are there other civilizations or regions you think are overdue for some architectural updates? As always, leave your thoughts in the comments, be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already.
Mandatum, liken. Mandatum, subscribing.
And you can support the channel with the support link in the description. That's all for today, and thanks for watching. This has been me assessing awesome, appealing, and appropriate alternative Asian architectural assets. Till next time.